What's up, guys? It's your boy Patrick, aka Addicted to Combat, back for another week of best bets and props. This is for the big one in a couple days, UFC 275. Glover Texeira defending his 205-pound strap against Prochazka. Also, another title fight, women's flyweight, the GOAT, Shevchenko defending against Talia Santos. So, overall, there's a few money lines I like this week. First is going to be an underdog. I do like Jake Matthews at plus 125 on the money line. He is taking on Andre Fialho, who has actually been pretty good to us betting-wise in the UFC so far. But the fact of the matter is Andre Fialho is kind of a one-rounder or bust guy. I mean, he hasn't had many things go well for him in the past few years if it gets extended over 1.5 rounds. So I'm always pretty weary of those guys who are kind of first-round headhunters or bust. He made his debut short notice, albeit against Michel Pereira, a guy who's also a striker primarily, but beat him by mixing up a better movement, some takedown, some clinch control, and ended up, Fialho did gas pretty hard in that fight. You can forgive that; it was short notice, but I have my doubts about if he can keep up with a guy equally as young as he is, young and improving. Jake Matthews, still only 27 years old. Fialho is 28. I just like the well-rounded, proven experience of Jake Matthews. He's serviceable striking, good movement, good lateral movement, and it's going to be crucial that he changes levels early and extends Andre Fialho past his comfort zone, which is that over 1.5 mark. Usually for him is his kryptonite. So I'm taking Jake Matthews. I'm pretty confident in him, and to get plus money on him, I like that a lot. So plus 125 is what I got. Matthews by decision. I think decision is probably a good outcome for him the majority of the time. That is sitting at plus 240 for Jake Matthews by decision. Other money lines that the money lines are a little bit steep on these next two, but I'm confident in the fighter themselves. First is Brandon Allen. Brendan Allen is minus 300 on the money line over Jacob Malcoon. Malcoon is a guy who is a buddy of Robert Whittaker. You've usually seen him only on cards where Whittaker is fighting. Whittaker was supposed to fight on this card as well against Vettori. That fell through. The Malcoon fight stays on, but he's got a big step up in competition ahead of him against the much larger man in Brendan Allen, the much more experienced guy in Brandon Allen. Allen has fought UFC caliber fighters his entire career over in the LFA and in the UFC as well. His stock fell a bit after a couple boneheaded decisions he made, including the fight against Chris Curtis. But Chris Curtis is an absolute animal, so I don't hold that against him too much. I like the size advantage. I think he's better standing, and the competitive grappling nature of this makes it interesting too, because so far Jacob Malcoon has been touted as this high-level BJJ guy. I haven't been too impressed with him because he's fought, a couple of first-rounder bust power hitters in A.J. Dobson, the debutante, and Abdul Razak Al Hassan. Don't get me wrong, Jacob Malcoon is impressed. He's done very well, avoided danger outside of the Phil Hawes fight, and really used a high IQ game plan just to win minutes and win the fight. But if you can't really advance position on guys like A.J. Dobson and Al Hassan to end the fight, I think Brandon Allen is actually going to make this a little bit more difficult for him, negate some of the grappling. This might be more of a stand-up affair, a clinch against the cage affair, and I'm going to favor the more experienced, young, improving potentially, and moreover, the much larger, stronger individual and Brendan Allen. Minus 300. Manel Cape is up next. I'm pretty confident in my boy Starboy, minus 225 on the money line over Rogerio Bontorin. Manel Cape has just looked great lately. He's looked great on a 2 KO streak. Usually the danger in backing Manel Cape is the fact that he's so low volume, usually picking his shots, looking for that one-hitter quitter power shot, or just being tentative altogether. But luckily this time he's facing a guy who's even more low volume on the numbers than Manel Cape himself. So that's not really going to be too much of a worry in this fight. Rogerio Bontorin, very low output type of guy, looks for the takedown, but Manel Cape is a pretty high-level BJJ player himself, too. I think he's faster than Rogerio Bontorin. I think he potentially is a much better gas tank as well as the fight wears on. And he's got good scramble ability, does Manel Cape, too. So unless Manel Cape makes the boneheaded decision of not striking a whole lot, accepting bottom position and playing jiu-jitsu off of his back, which I've seen in the past, but not so much lately, that would be his downfall here. But for minus 225 on the money line, a guy with a lot of momentum, a guy with a lot of, really high-level past experience outside of that UFC as well. I like Manel Cape here at minus 225. Pretty confident in him to get the job done. Moving on to some props. Sorry, guys, if I sound a little nasally. I'm a little bit under the weather, burning up, but I try to keep my word that I got this out before the weigh-ins tomorrow, so bear with me here if I sound a little sick and stuffed up. Moving on to some props, we've got the over 1.5. You might not like this one. Over 1.5 in Liang versus Sylvana Gomez Juarez. This is a fight where I always keep my eye out for over 1.5s in women's fights. It's just something that I pretty much auto-bet every time, and I think it'll balance out over time. Liang didn't look like she has, the capacity to even make it to the 1.5 round mark in her last fight. Her debut against Ariane Carnelossi. That's fair. I think that might have been a one-off. Sylvana Gomez Juarez, also a pretty fast starter as well. Getting caught by submissions early and whatnot in round one lately. But then that is a path to victory for Liang. But this is a case where if we're getting minus 125 in a women's strawweight at 115, over 1.5, just to make it 7.5 minutes for minus 125, which is a 55% implied probability. The vast majority of women's fights go over 2.5, and the vast majority of the women's strawweights especially. So, that's just something that's I take my brain and my tape study out of it for this one, and I just have to lay at least a unit on the minus 125 for an over 1.5 in a women's fight. It might be a boneheaded play there, but like I said, these things balance out over time. And whenever I see a over 1.5, no matter which women's division it is, it always has my attention if it's close to even money, like minus 125 is. So Liang, Sylvana Gomez Juarez over 1.5 at minus 125. I also like, this is in the co-main event, Shevchenko to win in rounds 4, 5, or decision is at minus 135. So you get to transform that minus 600 money line of Shevchenko. And, Talia Santos has seemed pretty durable as of late. Shevchenko is 7-2 in decisions, and Talia Santos has never been to rounds 4 or rounds 5. So, her cardio doesn't look too suspect, in my opinion, but, it's because of a lot of the 3-round fights that Talia Santos has. She's very low striking output, using her strength to kind of just crush women into a dominant decision. And, she puts herself in a lot of spots where her cardio is not tested. If this ends up being a stand-up battle with Shevchenko, her cardio definitely will be tested. She might fall apart after 15 minutes where she's never been before. So, and Shevchenko has been finishing a lot of her opponents in these title defenses. So, this covers the most likely spots where I think that finish would arrive, which is rounds 4 or 5, which are new for Santos. Or, in my opinion, I think it might be a Shevchenko decision. So to cover all of those and transfer that money minus 600 to a minus 135, I do like that a lot. So putting a unit on that. If you are a Santos backer, or you think she does have a chance with her size and strength that Shevchenko hasn't seen in a while in a challenger, the over 3.5 is at minus 165. So that can cover both sides. If you have Shevchenko parlayed up, that could be the insurance policy that I like to employ. So over 3.5, minus 165. I do like that number as well. Overall, my top 6 confident fighters, I did this last week where I paired 2, 4, and 6 leg parlays. And they all panned out last week. So we're going to try to take that, try to parlay that into some success this week. My top 6 confident fighters this week, Shevchenko is number 1. Yuri Prochazka, I'm marking as number 2, and I'll get to why in a second. Otherwise, it's the ones that we talked about. Brandon Allen is number 3. Manel Cape, number 4. Number 5 is Sungwoo Choi, and number 6 is Jake Matthews. If you were to parlay all 6 of those together, you're getting about, plus 1,000 odds, so 10-1 odds on that 6-fight parlay. Why I mentioned Yuri Prochazka, my heart is telling me Prochazka should be the younger man, should be the more explosive guy. It should be night and day on the feet, but Glover Teixeira has, managed to come through as an underdog time and time again, even in his old age. So it does scare me a bit. If this fight does hit the map between Prochazka and Glover Teixeira, I think we're in big, big trouble pretty fast. But with that being the final fight of the night, if I play the 6-fight parlay at plus 1,000 odds, if I make it to that Yuri Prochazka fight, I could actually hedge out on Glover pretty easily since he is such a big underdog in this fight. So I fully intend to hedge out if that parlay is still live into the main event. So that's why I feel comfortable putting him into that parlay. We have that hedge out opportunity. So there you have it, guys. A few money lines I like, some safe picks, my most confident fighters, and a couple time props as well. So good luck in all your betting action. I'll talk to you guys Sunday for the recap.